So, the rumors were true. Kingda Ka, the king of all coasters, shut down forever on November 10th, 2024, just a couple days ago. We've been hearing for the past couple months that Kingda Ka might be closing down, whether that's for future expansion, mechanical reasons, whatsoever. Most likely a combination of the two. Well, we do actually know it is for future expansion. There is something else coming, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But in the meantime, the sad news that the world's tallest and second fastest roller coaster will never operate again. Super sad news, but there is some things to look on the horizon that is a lot more optimistic that we can look into, where not only for Great Adventure, but for the entire Six Flags chain in general, we got a bunch of news of things coming in 2026 that we can all look forward to. There was a big press release unveiling that between now and 2026, $1 billion will be invested in their parks, and we can break down and try to figure out what's coming. But first, let's get back to a Great Adventure and look into what potentially is coming there and reminisce about the sad news about Kingda Ka. Now, with the sad news of Kingda Ka closing, and with several other rides like Green Lantern closing down, what does that mean for the future of Great Adventure? Now, they actually did release a statement stating that Great Adventure will unveil a record-breaking launch coaster in 2026. What does that mean, though? There's a lot of different things. Could they be retrofitting it in a similar way of Top Thrill 2? We actually had confirmation from El Toro Ryan and Lance from Screamscape, who reached out to the park to confirm, is this a retrofit or is it a new ride? The answer is, it's a whole new ride. Everything's being torn down. It's going to be a brand new ride from this point on. So what else could that be? Honestly, when you're looking at who might be building this, what manufacturers, there's a couple that come into mind on who it could be. When it's saying record breaking, I don't personally think it's going to be going for like the world record, for instance. Now, if you're going for even the North American record, you have to be breaking 120 miles an hour and 420 feet in height in order to do that as a launch coaster. And as well, I would see what would be the point of that if you're not going to be retrofitting it. So I would throw that on the table. It's definitely not going for the world record, even with Formula Rosa or Falcon's Flight, with those records being right there. So what could the record actually be? I hope it's not one of those gimmicky marketing ones, like when you look at, first thing that comes to mind when you looked at Wildcats Revenge when it was announced, it's got the world's largest step-up underflip. The average person doesn't know what a step-up underflip is. It's just a type of inversion that's on like 3 coasters ever, and it just happens to be a little bit bigger than the one that was put on Joker several years back by RMC. So what could it be? If it's actually going for a significant record, it could be going for a couple things. Like I mentioned before, I don't think it's going to go for anything big like the North American record that Top Thrill 2 is going to have from this point on. So you could rule out anything like Red Force at Ferrari World, where you have an LSM launch that more or less has the top hat that Kingda Ka and Top Thrill Dragster had. So I'd rule that out, but I wouldn't necessarily rule Intamin out in this case. I think Intamin is a strong possibility of being the manufacturer of choice. While that may seem crazy when you think about it at first, considering how Cedar Fair has not worked with Intamin since 2010 when they installed Intimidator 305, I honestly think, one, the relationship with even manufacturers and these chains is not this simple black and white like a lot of people think it is. That's a whole other rant for another video. But also second, I think once the merger went through, one, Six Flags has been working with Intamin with the Georgia Surfer roller coaster that's opening up next year and a couple other things that was announced. And also two, I think that it was inevitable that Cedar Fair was going to work with Intamin again. Why? Look at Velocicoaster, for example, and Tutatis. Those roller coasters right there have had such great reputation and they have been working. They don't have the downtime quite as bad as the roller coasters from the mid-2000s, these record-breaking, pushing the envelope type roller coasters, but they're down a lot. Universal had the confidence to have Intamin build that roller coaster, and they have way more attendance than anything that a Cedar Fair or Six Flags park has. And it's running more or less all the time. So that's a possibility there. And especially, you look at Pantheon, you look at Tutatis, you look at other roller coasters, you look at Gotham City Escape over in Spain. It's just highly regarded as amazing roller coasters. And I think that is the future for Six Flags in general in the next 10 to 20 years. So, Intamin, a strong possibility there. Who else could beat it? Premier, maybe? Now, are those really going to be record-breaking roller coasters? I'm sure it depends on the way you define record-breaking. You can look at many different ways of what is going to be a record for it. Could it have the most number of launches, for instance? That's really, really unlikely considering that Hagrid's has 7, so you would have to have 8 separate launches on that roller coaster to claim that record for marketing purposes. It couldn't even have the fastest swing launch because, once again, Top Thrill 2. But what could it be? It's hard to say exactly what it would be, but I imagine it would be maybe potentially the world's fastest roller coaster that has an inversion or something like that. I don't know off the top of my head which roller coaster that is, but I can't imagine it's much faster than Velocicoaster, Tutatis, those guys right there. So it could be something along those lines of what that record could be. So I really think that Intamin coming in with a Velocicoaster, Tutatis type roller coaster is a strong possibility. So if not Intamin, who else could it be? I honestly think it could be someone like Premier Rides. Premier Rides, for instance, they're building Alpen Fury up in Canada's Wonderland. That thing looks amazing. And it's going to have 9 inversions and just be filled with amazing launches and everything like that. Now, one thing to note is this is a record-breaking launch coaster. Doesn't necessarily mean that the record is involved with the launch itself and the speed or the height. Could it be they're going to take the inversion record away from Alpen Fury in North America? That's a very strong possibility. It could be something like that where they could go for 10 inversions, have a similar style of layout where it's just really ripping through those. That roller coaster looks incredible, so I'd love to see something like that come here. So when you're thinking of record-breaking launch coaster, who else could be building it? Honestly, when you think of things like Mach Rides, technically something like a Mach Extreme Spinner or what they're building with Stardust Racers out in Epic Universe, those are launch coasters. So in that specific model, could it be a record breaker? The world's fastest, tallest Mach Extreme Spinner? Please just build another Mach Extreme Spinner. I need that thing. I need to get on one of those. I haven't been able to get to Silver Dollar City or out to Belgium yet. I need more of these things around. They look amazing. So, and plus Mach is fantastic. The few roller coasters I have ridden by them that are the next generation, they all are amazing. Copperhead Strike this year was actually my biggest surprise of roller coaster of how much I ended up enjoying that. So, what's coming to a great adventure? We'll have to wait and see until we get more details to really know what a record-breaking launch coaster will bring. But that's not the only announcement that was made. To help soften the blow of Kingda Ka closing, Six Flags announced that they will be investing $1 billion between now and 2026. So what else is coming? They did announce that several of their parks are going to be getting mini expansions, and let's start going over them. One of the most notable is Magic Mountain. Now, we have known that Magic Mountain is getting something soon, most likely a roller coaster. They took out the Golden Theater, I can't remember the exact name of it, but the theater that's out there, that has been demolished in the past year or so. So what's coming in? Well, Six Flags announced that Magic Mountain in 2026 will be getting a first-of-its-kind roller coaster in North America. So what's that mean? I'm trying to think of what options we have out there that we don't have any of. So something like a Mach Extreme Spinner, while there aren't many of them, we do have one. The prototype is at Silver Dollar City, so it's not that. What else could it be? First thoughts come to Vekoma. There's a lot of Vekoma models that are over in Europe and Asia that haven't made it to North America yet, and really that is the first thing that comes to mind. Something like Let Coaster or Phoenix, which is a Wildcat model. Something like that would be just blazing fast on the side of the mountain, I think would be incredible. I really want to get on something like that. That looks amazing. What else could it be? It could also be a space warp model like you have at Formula at Energylandia. Something with a launch that goes through those high speed and whippy inversions and those tight turns. Kind of similar to the Wildcat model. So something along those lines. What I'm thinking definitely, I think it's going to be from Vekoma. But there is one other manufacturer that comes to mind on what it could be. S&S. Remember how we've been wanting an Access coaster for like ever? So when it was debuted all those years ago, the first one is actually going in Saudi Arabia, and so installing this one wouldn't be the first one, but it would be the first one in North America. So an Access coaster is a high possibility of something that could be coming in. So what do we have next? We now have Carowinds, which recently had some markers around Hurler and Carolina Cyclone pop up. Whether that's related, we're not sure, but they are getting a record-breaking water ride. What exactly would that be? It's hard to say. It could be a mock power splash, it could be a log flume, it could be a water coaster, but regardless, I think that's a really good addition. Carowinds has been without a water attraction for years now, since they closed down their River Rapids and their Giant Splash, which is where Copperhead Strike is now. So them getting a water addition is a fantastic addition for them for sure. Canada's Wonderland is also getting something in 2026, and it also will be a record-breaking water attraction. I imagine with Alpine Fury coming up next year that they will get something that is going to be something similar to Carowinds, log flume, that kind of thing. So maybe a roller coaster, potentially if it's a water coaster, but I expect something like that. It is confirmed it is in the dry park and not in the water park for both of these right here. Because other parks like Knott's Berry Farm confirmed they are getting a Soak City expansion, but so it's going to be specifically in the dry parks, which is fantastic. Kings Island, who has been waiting to get something for a while now, my home park, that Vortex plot of land has been sitting empty for quite a while now, and survey markers just popped up in the past month or so. So we think something's coming in there, right? It might be 2027 potentially for a roller coaster. I'm not really sure, because the exact wording from Kings Island is Kings Island will be getting a family thrill attraction. So not necessarily a roller coaster. It could be potentially something like Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood potentially, or I really don't know what it could be for a non-roller coaster thing. Obviously it's something from Vekoma with the Big Bear Mountain type ride. I think that'd be a fantastic addition. That'd be great. Something that I think would be something that is lacking at Kings Island is to help widen their portfolio, although I personally think Kings Island is missing a best of the world type attraction as their number one thing that they need. But I've got a whole separate video that I'm going to be making that will go over potential new roller coasters for them, assuming that this next one is not a roller coaster in 2026. It might be 2027. So what could it be? Considering I think it's not a roller coaster. I think the roller coaster is coming in 2027 to take the Vortex plot of land, especially with all the surveys that came out. I think it's going to be something different, maybe something like more like a dark ride. I think a dark ride would be fantastic, although that's not really a thrill. So Kings Island is kind of a mystery to me. I'm not 100% sure what that one's going to be. The original Six Flags park, Six Flags Over Texas, is going to be getting a record-breaking dive coaster. Now, obviously that means something from B&M. Dive coasters have been coming in the past several years. They've been pretty hot. Although it's been a little while since we've gotten a big one, since Yukon Striker in 2019 being the last one, which currently has the record, which theoretically means that this roller coaster will be taller than Yukon Striker, at least with maybe the drop, which is about 245-foot drop. But maybe it's not actually taller than that, because record-breaking, theoretically, if they want to be a little cheeky, it could be the United States' largest, not North America and the world's largest dive coaster. But it could also be bigger, and it also could be significantly bigger. There are a lot of surveys that came out somewhat recently for like Kings Island, Carowinds. For instance, maybe they would be getting a record-breaking Giga dive coaster. Now, I'm not the biggest dive coaster fan myself. A lot of enthusiasts aren't. They're fun, but they always get a bigger line than I think they deserve. But if you make that thing a giga, 300 feet tall, and you have a vertical drop, that thing's gonna be awesome. I would be happily lining up for that. Will it be a giga dive going down to over Texas? We'll have to wait and see, especially because Fiesta Texas just got a dive coaster not too long ago themselves, so it would have to differentiate itself enough from that one. Maybe, I don't think it's going to be quite a mid-level dive like that one. I think it's going to be a big one, and maybe it's going to be beyond vertical drop. Could you imagine something like a giga beyond vertical? That would be sick. And then you have the last couple announcements here. Great America, they're getting their dive coaster installed this upcoming year, so I imagine something a little bit quieter. For the 50th anniversary, they'll be debuting a new kids area. You know, bringing in families, I think, is the name of the game for a lot of these parks. That's where a lot of the revenue is, and I think over time that is going to enhance these parks quite a bit. And I think absolutely that is a great addition. Get some kids areas there. We talked a little bit about Knott's. They're getting a Soak City expansion. I'm not so much a water park guy, so I'm not super familiar with what that might be, what they're missing, and what in the industry could be coming in, but obviously something going into the water park. So Six Flags Mexico will be the last announcement here. They will be getting a Family Thrill Boomerang coaster. So first thing that came to mind is like, what Great Adventure is getting this next year? Well, it was supposed to be last year, but you know, delays. That right there, what was the first thing I came up with? But is that really a family roller coaster? I would say no. That's definitely more on the thrill aspect. So it's kind of both. What exactly that means? Are they going to get a smaller version of that? It's hard to say exactly what's coming to Six Flags Mexico. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's all the announcements. $1 billion. Now, of course, that's not always going to be with attractions. I imagine some other things going to go. Improvements. Please, Legacy Six Flags Parks, start getting better restaurants. That's the number one thing that I want you guys to improve on. And I hope with this merger, that's what's coming. So yeah, $1 billion, I have a new visitor now. Between now and 2026, get out of here, cat. So yeah, with some major sad news, I never got to go on Kingda Ka. I haven't been to Great Adventure yet. I was maybe going to be going next year, hoping to get on Kingda Ka, which I was thinking was going to be the last season. Turns out, came sooner than that. Super depressing thought. But we have a lot of things to look forward to despite the sad news of Kingda Ka closing. I can't wait to see where all of these expand to. We've got a lot to look forward to when it comes to new additions coming to the Six Flags chain in the next couple of years. Thank you all for watching. If you're new to Park Productions, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Of course, we do a lot of videos like this with breaking news. We will do reviews, ranking videos, vlogs, and a lot of different stuff where I show you the best things in the theme park world from around the world. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night.